What do you think is the overarching theme for this season? If last year Oliver was trying to...
People say, it's interesting because we all sometimes have different words or expressions for it, even between like Mark and Andrew and myself. I've always felt like Oliver, to survive on the island, had to lose his humanity. Or had to, and so much of the show for me has been about can a prisoner of war come back from that, and regain that. And every year, it's, last year was, all right, I'm going to give up killing and see if that makes me more human in a way. And this year, I think it's about having an integrated life. Like, can he really have a life, or is he just out there to fight crime? And but can he introduce other elements into his life? So sometimes the guys say, well, it's about he's dealing with identity. Sometimes I'd say it's sort of like I think there's a lot this year of people trying to sort of save either their own soul or someone else's. That's probably the best way to say it. Which way? Again?
Is Team Arrow going to get a new lair this season?
Well, Oliver has to find a new place to live. But lair, we love the lair. I like the fat lair.
What will the financial troubles kind of mean for Oliver and Team Arrow as the season progresses?
It's definitely a new way of life for him. They'll find some other economic means from surprising places, and I'm not sure even yet how much we've been able to amp up that mystery, but there's that. But no, he's not. It's not like the broke years. You don't feel that, I don't think.
So in the trailer yesterday, we saw that Felicity and Oliver go on a date, and then she's found bloody on a table in that same red dress. So can you tease a little bit about what happens?
Well, I guess I would say that it is definitely a big part of the year in terms of stuff we started to. We always I think in the finale to kind of hint at some of the things we know we want to deal with, I hope to deal with in the next season, and definitely their tension, romantic and otherwise, has been coming to a head, and I think so much of who she is and what she means to him is sort of, in a lot of ways, represents like a whole other life, and so we'll get at some of that stuff in the beginning episodes.
Can you talk a little bit about the situation at Queen Consolidated?
There's a new gentleman, Ray Palmer, who wants to buy Queen Consolidated. For their tech, it's specific for their tech division. He figures out pretty soon that there was an IT woman there who was then Oliver's assistant, who seemed to have a bizarre career trajectory at the company. So he goes looking for her and wants her to be a part of the company. I'll leave it at that.
And what's Thea going to be like in
I think the great thing with both Willa and Thea is to really sort of show a whole new side, obviously, to her. We always say, and you've probably heard it from us 1,000 times, like, this is this person's island, but this really is her island, I think, in terms of us showing kind of her, some of her growth and the physicalization of her abilities.
And her interactions with Oliver.
There's certainly a blast to write, and it's such a unique relationship. We haven't had anything like it on the show, and so I think we're kind of, as we always are with anything that's new, that we kind of, that makes it really interesting, obviously, but also you're kind of like, well, how do we get this right? It's a neat dynamic to have on the show, and I think it's going to pop this year in a big way. I hope.
So there's a mysterious new big bad coming.
Yes.
How does that big bad and Malcolm, are they connected at all? And is Malcolm still going to be a bad of the show?
Malcolm is who he is, and so he'll always have those. He'll always sort of be the devil, but obviously he has this relationship now with Thea, which we'll learn more about. I think those complexities are a lot of what Oliver is going to be dealing with too this year in terms of like, you know, he's sort of in some ways he's kind of a sheriff, and there's this like, a bad guy's come back into town, but he can't quite get rid of him, you know. Obviously, the first step in that is going to be Oliver finding out that he's alive. So we'll have to deal with that.
Green Arrow has had so many connections throughout the DC universe and played out in a number of different elements of entertainment. So last year, you guys brought the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
This year, are you going to be bringing in some other folks who are going to interact with? And is there any possibility that they'll ever have some Justice League interactions at some point?
Do you just take the last part? Do you mean sort of like will a Justice League type things spring up now that we have so many of those characters? I mean that I think in success, you kind of we never know. We always hope the shows sort of work well enough that we can kind of do that. But definitely we're closer to that than we were last year, you know. And so I think hopefully we'll keep moving down a path like that. But we have to keep making the show great individually. And yeah, I mean there's still hopefully even of the ones that there's been a lot that's been announced this year, but there's still at least hopefully kind of one big one in the back half of the year, another DC person that we hope to bring in.
Hero or villain?
I can't say that.
Awesome.
No, but I haven't said that to anybody yet.